here. Notice how in this code it says draw as a background and a circle on the left. It says draw the polygons and it tells you to place your code here. So notice how the comments, they're these green pieces of text with the hashtag in front of them. See, green text, hashtag in front of it. Notice how they either do two things. One, they either describe some information, describe what's happening in the code, or they give you some instructions. And this is why we use comments. For you guys and your purpose in writing your code for your Unit 3 creative tasks, you guys are going to mostly be using comments to describe code. You can also write a few comments to like help you remember what you need to do later, like, oh, make sure you draw the cat for your cat drawing later, or make sure you draw the dog for your dog drawing later. So that's what comments look like. That's what they're used for. So let me give you an example of how to break down a project into comments. So let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up one of my own projects here. Let's see. Okay, let's see if this one works. I'm going to use my gravity simulation project. Okay, so here in this project, I have a rock here, and when I put it on this side, it falls pretty quickly, but when I put it here on the moon side, it falls really, really slowly because the gravity is much less on the moon. I can't remember the exact number. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 1.62 meters per second and 9.8 meters per second on Earth. So that's a little science for you. Anyway, I have some comments here. This here says creates the Earth side. This here says create the moon side. This here says create. This tells me the instructions for how this works, and this says create the rock. Now I could definitely add some more comments in this project to make things a little bit clearer. So what you guys will do is, as you're writing your code, you're going to ask yourself, how can I break up this code? How can I write some descriptive text that is going to make it clearer for Miss Ellis, make it very clear for Miss Ellis what my code means? Okay, well, let's see. So let me look at my code here, and it seems that I've got like 4 rectangles right here. Now I remember what those rectangles are for. If someone was just looking at this would just be a bunch of numbers, but I'm going to make it clear that these rectangles are actually stars. Now that wouldn't be obvious because I'm not using the star method to create them, but if you look really carefully, these are my stars. Distant stars. Let's see if I can add some other comments. Let me look here. I've got 3 functions here. There's not a lot of code here. So there's not a super big need to add some comments, but I could definitely do so. So here, this onStep function here, I could write and say, change the gravity depending on the position of the rock. Okay, so that makes it even clearer to people who are reading this code. Let's see, this one is pretty straightforward. It moves my rock whenever I drag my mouse, but this one might be less clear for those who are reading my code. So I'm going to make this clearer, and I'm going to write highlights the instructions when the mouse is over the instructions. Okay, so if I run my code, notice how the instructions get highlighted whenever I move my mouse, because I wanted this to kind of look a little bit like an interactive website. Okay, so that's just a quick tutorial about how to use comments and why comments are important. Use them for creating some short descriptive text to make it easier for other people to read your code. And in order to create a comment, you just put a hashtag in front of it. One last thing that's important to note is that comments are not run as code. So if you write a comment, it will never cause an error with your code. So that's why sometimes if we want to test out our code and see if something is wrong or right, we can actually highlight everything and press toggle comment. And what that does is that it makes everything here just like text that we can read, but this doesn't get run. So this will never cause any errors because it's a comment. Okay, that's all I have for you. Please let me know if you have any questions.